Hello, it is TexAgs Rewind. Billy Liucci, David Nuno here on a Monday. What a great Monday it was, Billy.
Fun Monday. Really fun Saturdays lead to fun Mondays.
Yes, they do.
In the fall. We've learned that quite well this year, haven't we?
When you walked in the studio, you gave me a hard time for our Learn, Loved, and Loathe because you said there was nothing to.
There's nothing to loathe.
It was great.
I walked in, and I was like the first line. I knew what you were doing. I was giving you a hard time. But, there was nothing to loathe about that.
Nothing to
We
loathe.
ain't nitpicking these things now. We've seen what it looks like when they're not getting it done, and we've seen what it looks like when they're getting it done, and this team is getting it done.
And we love the fact that T-Mobile is sponsoring this video, by the way. So we do love that. And around
We don't
Aggieland,
loathe it.
we don't know. We love it. It's the opposite of loathe. Anna Rosa did a great job on Around Aggieland. We had Tom Hart breaking things down from the SEC Network, talking about where A&M is right now. And, of course, the Go Hour with our buddy OB. It is TexAgs Rewind. This has just been after it being a terrible couple of weeks, it's been really fun just to watch the domination that we just saw, the wins, the grit, the toughness.
All the things that Jimbo Fisher says his team wants to play with, right?
Yeah.
He says what? I can't even remember them all. Toughness, determination, pride, grit, something else. And just the growth. Going from, like you said, starting slow, struggling, having big injuries, having to work through. I'm not talking about just quarterback, whatever. And then see a team get healthy and start to grow. And quite frankly, how much better have they gotten? And I'm not saying this is the reason, right? But since Reuben Fothery
Inserted into the lineup,
right? Coincidence, maybe. But, there may be something to that, too, especially on the offensive side. And then just to see what the defense has turned into. I've been cautioning over and over, this isn't a wrecking crew caliber defense until you can play a good offense and make them make a good offense struggle. And here's a team that had Auburn, who scored over 30 points in consecutive games, averaging, 552 yards a game. And A&M holds them to exactly half that. So I think the whole Wrecking Crew moniker was appropriate, for that game at least.
Sure, and we are also in a different era of football where the Wrecking Crew style of defenses, like when we're talking about pure domination, there's not a lot of that anymore. And we're seeing it from Georgia, and I think we're seeing it from A&M. So maybe the name Wrecking Crew and what it means, it's a different meaning in 2021 football.
Well, Saturday, it looked like that for any time.
Yep.
3 points. and to be constantly all over the quarterback. He was sacked 4 times, but he was pressured and knocked down and like 5. And I think there's one time that it was even in his head because you'll remember the play. I think it was in first or second quarter even. And Nix had an open receiver for a touchdown. He'd gotten behind 2 Aggies, and he threw it early, and he overthrew it.
Oh, he overthrew
it, And I think it was because he's already been harassed so much.
Right.
He was, just expecting the hit.
So let's do what we normally do. The turning point in this game, OB, and there are a couple that in fact, they just showed mine. But let's kind of go over your turning point. At what point in this game did you feel like this is it?
Yeah, I have to admit, and it's the low-hanging fruit, of course, but it was the scoop and score with Michael Clemens with Jaden Peavy scaring the ball out of Bo Nix's hands. And, because at that time, even though A&M was really in control, 1 touchdown still beat you.
Yep.
And I kept thinking about the Oregon game 2 years ago in Bo Nix's first college game, and they were Auburn was outplayed the whole game, but hung around, and then at the very end, Nix throws up a pass and got lucky basically for a game-winning touchdown. I thought, this is the way this game is trending, kind of like that. But then when you got the scoop and score, and you're up, and then the 2-point conversion, you're up 2 touchdowns. I felt this defense is playing so well, they're not going to come back from that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That is the absolute turning point where this game, there was no chance of losing. But for me, since I have to be different, or I want to be different, I chose the Caleb Chapman reception. And the reason I picked that one is at that point, the momentum shifted in the game where you're like, all right, we're moving the ball again. Because there was a little down period where the Aggies weren't moving the ball. I feel like you got some good runs leading up to that. Then you go over the top. A play or two later, you go all the way to the 4-yard line. They should have put 7 on the board at that point. They should have. They only got 3. They should have put 7. But that Caleb Chapman touchdown, 49-yard reception, to me, changed the momentum. And remember, they had played with bad field position for a long period of that game. That shifted that, put them in position. They take the lead 6-3. Obviously not an insurmountable lead, but you felt good the way the defense was playing. And at that point, I think Kyle Field knew and the Aggie football team knew this is our game.
Silly me. I thought the Aggies just won a home game against Auburn, moved into the top 10. I roll in here and it's drop passes and no touchdowns.
No, we're doing our love, learned, and loathe thing. And if I had to pick something, I didn't love the drop passes and I didn't love not scoring, but because I think the offense deserved it in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, you hear Jimbo and talking about why those penalties happened. Kind of probably took away a touchdown there. They had 1st and goal at the 4. It would have been. Felt like the offense played better against a good defense than to say they didn't cross the goal line. And they did. They put together how many actual scoring drives? 4 scoring drives, but couldn't capitalize. How many times they were in there close twice? Once got hurt by penalties. Once at the beginning of the game they couldn't.
They should have scored.
They couldn't punch it in.
They should have gotten a touchdown there.
Both times, really. Yeah. So that. By the way, what does that do to that football game? Then you missed a field goal too. So
that is right there. 17 extra points.
You got to feel like you left. Well, maybe you left 11 points on, or you missed 3. Yeah, you probably feel like you left 11 points on the board, which I don't care whether you win 31-3 or 20-3 at the end of it, but it would have changed how that game was played, and that sense of desperation on Auburn would have started earlier, and then, you might have really pulled away from them, but I know we're doing the thing that we do, love, learn, loathe, which, by the way, I came up with. I thought it was really clever. I gave it to Olin for his art. I was like, Olin's like, hey, what's any articles you want me to write? And I said, why don't we do that? I like ones that are shorter and more compact than what I write, because I feel like if we all are doing long form word vomit, then it's like every TexAgs article. So I'm like, gosh, I want to cut mine down too. I'm over here trying to get the offense, defense, and review done, but some people love it. So it's like, we'll do that. Olin will do love. What is that?
Learn,
love, life, live. What's the little sign everybody has?
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. And
Peace,
Olin should be loathed. Yeah. So anyway.
So in volleyball, to start things out, for the second straight night, Texas A&M volleyball, who is 12-10 and 5-7 in SEC play, went to 5 sets with Auburn, who's 13-10 and 5-8 in the SEC play, as the Tigers came out on top to split the series. Trayana Rush and Mallory Talbert led the way offensively, each posting career highs with 16 and 15 kills respectively. Setter Camille Connor recorded her 9th double-double of the season, turning in 42 assists and 19 digs. And in women's tennis, the number 3 ranked Texas A&M women's tennis doubles tandem of J.C. Goldsmith and Tatiana Makarova claimed a straight set win against Princeton in the doubles round of 16 at the ITA National Fall Championships on Friday at the Barnes Tennis Center. The duo continued their play against Pepperdine and notched a 3-set victory against the Waves in the ITA National Fall Championship quarterfinals before dropping a semifinal decision to Old Dominion Saturday. And looking ahead for this team, they're back in action this weekend, Friday through Sunday. That's November 10th through 12th, at home at the George P. Mitchell Tennis Center, as the Maroon and White host the 2021 Texas A&M Fall Invitational International. The Aggies tournament will serve as A&M's only event at home this fall and will also be the team's final action before the start of the 2022 regular season in January. Now, in golf, the Texas A&M men's golfer Sam Bennett won the individual men's title, carding a 6 under 210 at the international competition, while Aggie women's golf freshman Adela Cernosic placed in the top 10 of the Spirit International Amateur Golf Championship at Whispering Pines Golf Club on Saturday. Now, a couple of things to look forward to on the schedule. Women's basketball will hit the hardwood tomorrow, set to face the Corpus Christi Islanders at Reed Arena at 7 p.m. They will have a quick turnaround back in action on Thursday, also at Reed for another night game at 7 p.m. against Southern University Jaguars. And now men's basketball prepares to play North Florida this Wednesday at Reed Arena at 7 p.m. So a lot going on in Reed. And then cross country, after coming off a 9th place finish in the SEC Championships October 29th, the Aggies gear up for a big meet this Friday, the NCAA South Central Regional in Waco, Texas. That's all I have for around Aggieland.
Yeah, I just look at what Bo Nix was asked to do in that game, and he ends up, if you told me, bottom line, he's got to put the ball in the air 41 times.
Yeah.
Auburn would have a chance. You know, he's not, well, and we're talking about Kyle Trask. Like he's not a passer. He can throw it sometimes, but he's not a passer. So that was not a good sign for Auburn from the get-go. So now the question is, you know, you mentioned Ole Miss. What will they be like from a wide receiver perspective? Will they be any healthier? Because they're a much different team, as we've seen without their key receivers.
Yeah.
Matt Corral is great when he's perfectly healthy. They used Plumlee in a lot of situations, you know, where they kind of got him the ball or will get him the ball. So to protect Corral from having to run, I think Corral ran it 6 times. I don't know how many of those were sacks. There's a lot of talent on Ole Miss's offense, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry and Ely is legit. Snoop Connor's a great runner. Parrish is a good runner. They just don't. I guess they had Braylon Sanders out there, which is key for them, but they're still missing their tight end and 2 more receivers that need to be out there for Lane Kiffin's offense to operate how he wants it to, which is not just tempo, but getting those receivers in one-on-one matchups. And I think if they're fully healthy, which time will tell, it's only Monday right now.
Yeah.
Then the matchup will be those wide receivers against the A&M secondary.
No doubt.
Because Corral can get rid of the ball quickly enough where even if you have an elite defensive line, and we've seen that from A&M, that offense can run quickly and release it quickly enough where you can at least partially negate that pass rush.
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating game, and I'm with you. And the other question, though, is because you're talking about receivers, it will be also if they are playing and it's their first game back, and I know Sanders was played Saturday, but like are they healthy too? Or are they 75% of what they are? Then they become different kind of weapons and not nearly as dangerous, and they're not nearly as open for Matt Corral. And yeah, you're playing a team that had you played them, or it's kind of the inverse of Arkansas and Mississippi State, where teams wanted to play A&M earlier in the season. I think if you run into Ole Miss earlier in the season when they're completely healthy, just like you just said, that's a completely different ball game. Tom Hart hit us with a backwards hat at the beginning of the segment, and I didn't get to ask him because all of a sudden we come back and he's turned it around. And now I've got Flock of Seagulls going here, as we talked about today. But we're not cutting it until the Aggies win the whole thing. But here we go.
Well, thank you. Hey, I would like for everybody to comment, like, subscribe. We like when people from other schools watch this video too. Thank you guys. It helps the algorithm out. You can comment on it. You can tell us how much you hate us. It's fine. It is TexAgs Rewind.